education for withholding these dollars from our students. The administration is punishing children for the sole reason that states refuse to cater to Trump's political ideology. So we are here in California today to say we're not going to let that happen. I want to be very clear about something else. These funds are not funds that only go to certain students. They affect students everywhere, in every type of community, all across our country. They have vital supports like after-school programs, teacher training programs, technology that our students need. And we're going to protect our students by making sure that we fight to protect these dollars. The actions at this time represent an incredible disruption. As schools are preparing for the next school year, as many of our programs are already in their summer programming, it couldn't come at a worse time. And that shows how mean-spirited and lack of planning and foresight on the part of this administration. We must not allow this to happen because Congress has already allocated these dollars, and that by impounding these funds, the Trump administration is disrupting the education of our children over personal preferences and political gain. Together, we must stand united to push back. California and other states have already filed suit against the Trump administration based on prior acts to unlawfully withhold funding because we refuse to conform with President Trump's political ideology. The courts have already taken action in our favor in these cases, and California will continue to pursue all available legal remedies to the Trump administration's unlawful withholding of federal funds appropriated by Congress. We call on all Californians and all Americans to stand with us in this fight to protect public education. Our students are depending on us. Now I'd like to call Edgar Zazueta. Dr. Zazueta is the Executive Director of the Association of California School Administrators.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. As you've shown on many occasions here at some of our most challenging times, you've been a leader of bringing our entire community together. And I also thank my colleagues from the statewide organizations at this critical moment. It goes without saying, this building exists here. All of our respective organizations exist here because students are supposed to be the focus of everything we do. That is the whole purpose of our system. And we're concerned, as the superintendent stated, about what these actions will mean, not only for the future, which is where we've been having a lot of this conversation about proposed cuts, about proposed actions from the federal government. This is now a reality. This is now what's happening now. We represent the Association of California School Administrators, your 18,000 school administrators around the state. Your average principal, superintendent, school leader right now is, in many cases, school starts in a couple of weeks. We have schools that start in July now. The vast majority of them start in August. This is not just of what may happen. They are already planning for this current year. They're already in the midst of welcoming students back into their classroom. This disrupts just what our mission in the system is supposed to be. As the superintendent stated, we're concerned that once again, it does feel like we're targeting the most vulnerable within our communities. Mentioned English learners, our migrant students, adult education, after school programs, all those who need more are the ones that are being targeted. But also as the superintendent stated, there is not one district in our state, if you look around one community, that there is not some need for these programs across the state, right? This does really impact everybody. And so this is why it's very powerful to have us all here together pushing on that note. And I think it's also worth noting that going back to this planning purpose, that if you are a school leader, if you're a parent, and we know it's fair game for there to be legislative conversations, for Congress to debate some of the cuts that we're very much against, right? And we've been having this conversation about the future of some of the funding levels. And that's part of our system. Now, the most problematic part of this is these are decisions that were already made. These are funds that have already been determined to go to schools. So if you're a leader, if you're a superintendent, if you're a principal, if you're a teacher, if you're any part of the system, how are you supposed to have any certainty that you're going to have the resource there to serve your students? So I would say not only does it have an impact on the education quality of our students, it makes us question our democracy as well. in terms of what faith can we have on our leaders and those decisions that are made. So again, in closing, I just ask all of our organizations to, we're going to be united and push as much as we can and look at all available options at us and hopefully do what's best for our students here moving forward.
Thank you, Dr. Cesaret. And as you point out, many districts have already made hiring decisions based on these funds. Again, another example of the incredible disruption that we are experiencing. Next, I'd like to welcome the president of the California Teachers Association, who will be joining us by Zoom, David Goldberg, to provide a few remarks. President Goldberg.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to stand alongside you all today. And I just want to repeat what has been said and just continue to stress and really make clear who these students are who are going to be impacted by this political decision to weaponize funding. These support our migrant families, our English language learners, our after-school programs, teacher training, and other critical support for our most underserved students. And by the way, as has been said already, these are students in red and blue counties, in rural and urban areas in every corner of California. 1 in 3 students in California's K-12 school system speak another language besides English at home. And were not fluent when they came. English was not their first language when they started school. That's over 1 million students who are currently English language learners. As educators, our members know the critical role that these programs and these dollars really play in the success of these students. And if they are withheld from our classrooms, it is going to be disastrous. I spent my entire career as a bilingual educator in Los Angeles. And students are just, with the resources they already have, are just really struggling to keep up with these attacks that are going on. And to withhold services and funding is just, it's disastrous. So that's what we do as educators. That's why we're standing here today with Superintendent, and all of us are standing here today. We're letting the Trump administration know that this is just another example of the callous and destructive plan that this administration is executing to push people to the margins around some political vendetta that he has. And we know this is not going to be the end of these attacks. We know we got to stand firm, stand against these illegal. We don't have kings in this country where people by edict can just cut funding that's already been allocated. It also stresses the need for us in California to continue to struggle for more funding in California as well, so that all of our students and educators get the resources they so deserve. Thank you for allowing me to join you all today and be in solidarity with you all and our students and our families in this big struggle that we got coming up.
Thank you, President Goldberg. Next, you're going to hear from another former classroom teacher, a middle school teacher, who also served previously in the California State Assembly and as the chair of the Assembly Education Committee. He is now the Chief of Government Relations at the California School Boards Association. Please welcome Patrick O'Donnell.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Superintendent, the school board members of California. Thank you for this invitation here today and your call to arms to protect education funding in the state of California. The federal government made a commitment. They should live up to that commitment. This is about student success for all students, not just a certain segment of students, but all students across the state of California. So today, on behalf of 5,500 school board members, the California School Boards Association urges the federal government to immediately release the billions of dollars in education funding they promised to our schools in California. Honor your commitment to students, to educators, to school board members, to administrators. They have budgeted, launched critical programs that are up and running today that are going to be funded by the dollars that you promised us. And now you're saying you're not going to deliver to the state of California. Okay. School boards across California are counting on these federal dollars to strengthen instruction programs for all students, okay, to support educators that serve all students, okay, to meet federal mandates and improve overall student outcome achievement for all students. These funds cover staff salaries, curriculum, materials, classroom technology, and other academic supports that are critical to the success of all students in the state of California. The delay in funding has already strained local resources and will weaken our ability to meet the needs of all students in California. These funds are targeted investments that directly improve educational outcomes for all students in California. California students cannot afford further delays. We urge the federal government to act now and fulfill its promise to all students in California. With that, back to you, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Let's keep this going. We're going to hear from another great educator, former math teacher, who is also now president of our other teachers union, which also serves classified employee members and faculty in community colleges, faculty and staff. Please welcome from the California Federation of Teachers, the president, Jeff Freitas.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for convening us again against this horrible administration that is attacking and using illegal tactics to take money away. As a math teacher, this doesn't add up to democracy. This doesn't add up to the education that we need. It actually takes away, it subtracts it. And it is horrible for all of our students here in the state of California. This is about the illegal actions that the Trump administration continues to do. This is not a fake documentary TV show where you hire and fire people. This is not a fake wrestling match. This is real life for the students and the workers of our public education system. By taking away the dollars that are very much needed, especially now, when we are trying to provide the education, when we're getting ready to start schools, without the legal authority to do that is just horrendous. And it is the very acts that he is doing throughout the state and this country to divide us, to put us in fear, to eliminate our education. Everything leads up to eliminating our democracy. The educators, the 120,000 educators of CFT that we represent are with every single organization, public workers, public education that are represented here today. We must continue to fight back. We must demand that the laws of this country, that the Constitution of this country be followed by the president of this country. And without that, we will not have a true July 4th this coming Friday, because we have a tyranny, we have a tyrant running our country, not a president. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. It's now an honor to call Max Arias, who is the Executive Director of SEIU Local 99, representing many classified employees and LA Unified and elsewhere, to provide some remarks. Please welcome him as he comes.
Thank you, Superintendent. We stand with you as you stand between our country's largest schoolyard bully and our children. We are teachers, assistants, campus safety workers, special education assistants, bus drivers, custodians, cafeteria workers, early care and education workers, and others working in schools, colleges, family childcare centers, and administrative offices. That's who we are in SEIU education. SEIU represents nearly 45,000 public and private sector K-14 workers in California. And we serve all children and students, regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, where they live, or where they come from. To us, they are all students. And this unlawful, almost call it cut, withholding of funds, it's unacceptable right now. And right now, all students are worthy of our effort to support and celebrate them and to advance their education. It's abhorrent that the Trump administration is extending its campaign of fear and terror against our most vulnerable communities into our schools. But let's be clear, this is not just an attack on vulnerable communities. That's where it starts. It's an attack on all students. And it's also, as parents, classified employees, as you know, tend to be parents in the school district as well. We have a double concern, of course. As you know, classified employees are living in poverty. And I know that we're working to do better here in California. We will keep demanding to do better. But right now, we stand united as California education community to demand that this stop. SEIU Local 99 members are proud to go to work every day to ensure school children have caring adults to provide the basics, a ride to school, nourishing meals, clean classroom on campuses, support for their unique learning needs, and support for their families. And we're going to keep doing our work every day because we believe in public education. We believe that our schools should be places of opportunity for all. We believe that our country's greatest investments is our students. President Trump, stop this unlawful seizure of school funds. Stop ripping away school lunches, bus transportation, after-school program, and other vital services from our students. Pay the state of California what we are owed. The future of our children, our young ones, our communities, and our country depends on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Now I have the honor to call our Chief Executive Officer of the California Association of School Business Officials, Tasha Davenport.
Thank you, Superintendent. I'm Tasha Davenport, the CEO of the California Association of School Business Officials, also known as CASBO, and we are honored to uphold the reputation as the fiscal stewards of public finance in California. We have 30,000 members that ensure fiscal stability and operations in our public schools across the state. I think that we can all agree that public education is the foundation for a strong, healthy, and functional society, such that Congress also agreed and already approved the investment in public education. It is not an optional investment, is an essential investment. And by withdrawing those funds, our district leaders will be forced to reduce staff, delay programs, and cancel services for those students, the most vulnerable, that rely upon those services. That means disrupting the learning for the students who need us the most. So the impact of this decision and the harm of this decision is immediate, the costs are real, and the impact is long-lasting. But the solution is beautifully simple. Reinstate the funds, release the dollars, and do so immediately so that California's students and their future do not wait another moment. Thank you.
There you have it from our chief business officials. Release the money immediately. Thank you, Tasha. Next, you will hear from Rich DeVerny, who is the president of our California County Superintendents and the Tehama County Superintendent.
Thank you, Superintendent Thurmond, for this invitation and show of solidarity. It's really important. My name is Rich DuVarney. I'm the Tehama County Superintendent of Schools, way up north, and I'm also the immediate past president of the California County Superintendents. Today, I stand before you representing the other 57 county superintendents across the state. As you have heard yesterday afternoon, less than 24 hours before federal education funds were expected to be available for the new fiscal year as appropriated by Congress, the U.S. Department of Education notified states that funding for our title programs would not be allocated. Let me be clear, this will be a major unnecessary disruption to school districts across the country, not just California, and we are deeply disappointed with this decision. School districts have already budgeted for this funding and are relying on it to provide vital support and services for students. I stand here today alongside my colleagues and Superintendent Thurmond to make clear statement on behalf of the California County Superintendents that this is unacceptable. The ones who need the help most lose the most. Every dollar withheld from our school hurts our students, our teachers, and our future workforce. Title programs are designed to help under-resourced schools. Cutting funding means students in low-income areas fall even further behind. Cuts to the title programs often lead to layoffs and outdated materials, cuts to valued enrichment programs that students often pursue in career, engagement efforts for parents to feel more included in the education experience, and all of which directly affect the learning environment and our students' TK-12 experience. Low-income communities, students with disabilities, and English learners will suffer the most. The funding is put in place to ensure all students have the opportunity and access to a high quality, equitable education. On behalf of the 58 county superintendents, we strongly urge the U.S. Department of Education to reconsider this unlawful withholding. When the U.S. Department of Education refuses to fund title programs, it's not just failing schools, it's failing students. It's telling millions of students that their future doesn't matter. If education is supposed to be the great equalizer, then why is the system pulling resources from the very students who need them the most?
Thank you, Superintendent. You've heard from every sector of our educational community. You've heard from those who represent teachers, who represent classified staff, who represent administrators, school board members, county superintendents. You have heard in a singular voice how this is an illegal action and immoral action that has grave harm for the students in our state, and it must be reversed immediately. We call on Congress to take up its leadership, to say that they will not stand to have their powers usurped in this illegal action, to impound these dollars that have already been allocated to our communities and for our schools. And we will pursue every legal avenue available to us to have these funds restored. I want to thank all my colleagues who are here. I know that they're happy to help answer any questions that we may have from any of the media. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our communications director, who will help us navigate any questions from the online folks or from the folks who are here in the room.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Thurmond. We'll start with any questions in the room. That question will be addressed by our Chief of Staff, David Shapira.
Good afternoon. I'm David Shapiro, Chief of Staff of California Department of Education. We cannot discuss any ongoing legal action, as the superintendent stated. We are considering all possible remedies, communicating with our partners in the Attorney General's office, other departments of education in other states to see what they're experiencing at this moment. So all legal remedies are on the table. But I think, as the superintendent mentioned, importantly, this isn't the first time that the Trump administration has tried to unlawfully withhold funds that were appropriated by Congress. We have engaged in litigation multiple times this year, and we have been successful. There have been multiple decisions by multiple federal courts across the country who have said that when Congress appropriates dollars, the Trump administration does not have the authority to unilaterally withhold those funds. And so we have succeeded at multiple turns, and we anticipate that any ongoing or future efforts to withhold funds from our school system that have been appropriated by Congress will be met by the same results that they have been met with so far in the federal court system.
I guess my other question would be, are other states being impacted by this as well to the degree as California, or do you think the states being targeted specifically? We mentioned politics, right? What specifically within, California schools do you think the Trump administration would disagree with to want to withhold funding, targeting specifically California?
So we have heard from our partners at other departments of education across the country that they've received similar notices. Blue states, red states across the country have received a similar notice to the one that we received yesterday. That said, there is a particular piece of that notice that I think is critically important for us to understand, and that is that the administration is withholding these funds to ensure that they are, quote, in accordance with the president's priorities. That statement means something, right? It means that this is a president of the United States that is willing to punish students in states that refuse to conform with the president's political ideology. And that's something that just isn't acceptable. And so when we in California read those words, that is the standard we are being held to, as whether or not we are operating in accordance with the president's priorities. We are essentially conforming to his political agenda. We feel targeted, as every American should feel targeted. because that is not the standard by which the taxpayers gave those funds to the federal government. The taxpayers entrusted their elected representatives in Congress to appropriate dollars that are meant to serve students across this country. Those should not be held hostage by the priorities of one person, and that's what the notification said.
Thank you. Jenna Pendleton with the Sacramento Bee. I'm wondering, do you have any guidance for local educational agencies on how to plan for the upcoming school year without access to these funds?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. We at the Department of Education oftentimes look at the information that we have available, and we try to get that information out to the field as quickly as possible. This is a circumstance where it's difficult for us to make a recommendation as to what to do, because we don't know necessarily what comes next. As the superintendent said, we will be pursuing all possible legal remedies to try to address this issue. And our hope is that the funding will be released and that the funding will come out into the school system to meet the needs across our state. But individual LEAs are going to have to consult their legal counsels, and they're going to have to make the best decision for their communities based on the information that's available today. Our job is to make sure they have all of the information.
I would also just like to add that the districts and LEAs have been doing scenario planning for quite some time and prioritizing different programs in their student and community needs based on the expectation that this could possibly happen. So this is not a start today process. It has been under works for quite a while now. Thank you.
Any other questions in the room?
I saw the two. So we do have a question from Jim Jacobs about, I'll just read the question. President Trump has been threatening to pull federal education funds from California for the past month over the issue of transgender students competing in girls' sports. The CIF tried a new method of allowing for multiple winners to share the podium at their championships here in Clovis in May. Have you had any direct contact with the Trump administration about this new method and whether or not that was sufficient enough to keep the conversation going? So I will say in that particular case, there is an ongoing investigation. There's also ongoing litigation that was filed last week by the state of California, along with partners. And so we won't be able to comment on that ongoing investigation or litigation. The next question is from Mark Lieberman, wondering if the state has experienced any unusual conditions, hurdles, obstacles to drawing down the federal money it did receive. So I will say, as I mentioned earlier, we have engaged in litigation this year already in other cases where the Trump administration has tried to unlawfully withhold funds that were appropriated by Congress. And in some of those cases, we were awarded funds and had great difficulty in drawing down those funds. I think a great example is the COVID relief extension. And so COVID relief funds to help address ongoing issues across our state and our country because of the learning loss that was experienced during the pandemic, because of lost educational opportunities. There were funds appropriated by Congress to help alleviate those impacts. And we have had great difficulty drawing down those funds. And so California, along with a cohort of other states, did sue the Trump administration and did secure two different preliminary injunctions. One saying that the administration could not just withhold funds without notice, that they needed to provide us at least 14 days notice and a chance to remedy. The Trump administration then did provide us 14 days notice. And the court then issued an additional preliminary injunction saying that their reasons essentially were too vague and that they could not withhold based on the grounds that they were saying. And so the Trump administration has now been forced not just to release those funds to those states that filed suit, but to all states. They've now announced they're releasing those funds to all states. That said, we are still struggling to draw down those funds. And I will point out that we suspect that one of the reasons we are still having those struggles is because the Trump administration laid off a large number of their employees, did a massive reduction in force. They have been ordered to bring back those employees. They have brought back those employees and then placed them on administrative leave in many cases. And so unfortunately, we believe the U.S. Department of Education lacks the resources, frankly, to get some of these funds out in a timely manner by choice. They lack those resources by choice. And so we unfortunately have struggled with drawing down funds that have been appropriated by Congress. Eric, he asks also on after-school funding, given that California relies solely on federal funding for after-school programs for middle and high school students, can you address the specific impact of this pause on those programs? I think maybe some of our partners here might be prepared to answer that question. The impact of losing funds for after-school programs? Yeah.
Clearly, we can't afford to lose any dollar when it comes to any program, including our after-school programs. However, having said that, the programs that our school districts are implementing right now have also been supported by the state's allocation for expanded learning. This state has on multiple occasions provided multi-billion-dollar allocations for expanded learning for after-school time, for extending the school year, for summer programs, and continues to make that funding available. And so we encourage our districts to continue their programming through the summer. Obviously, to stay tuned as we get information, we will share it as we continue this battle to protect all of the funds, including the Title I funds and the other funds that have been used to support after-school programming. We have another.
We have one additional question from Diane Lambert. Can you explain how the funds for the grant are dispersed? Are they available on July 1?
So normally, in normal times, we receive a notification of our federal grant awards on July 1. At that stage, in normal times, we are able to begin drawing down funds for the school year that in some places in California starts this month, in the month of July. And so unfortunately, for the programs for which we have received notices, the administration has made clear to us that they are not issuing those grant awards today. And so that means that unlike normal times, we will not be able to draw down funds in those critical programmatic areas to benefit the students of California in the ways that Congress intended when they appropriated those dollars. And so this is real. This is real. It has real impacts on real students and real educators across the state of California and across the nation when the Trump administration does not issue these grant awards on July 1. Mark Lieberman asks, has California had to sign any new certifications or assurances in order to draw down Title I funds today or in the last week? We have not received, that I know of, any requests to sign any new certifications or assurances today or in the last week. Not that I know of. No. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We will be continued to be available for follow-up questions as needed. Members of the media can continue to reach out to CD Communications. Members of the media who are here, we can continue to address questions one-on-one as needed. Thank you all so much for joining today for this very important conversation as we make sure that students have what they need for the school year. Thank you.